I'm in the big leagues, told them don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now. So I need that go, y'all. Got hits when he throwing the fastball. Just too quick for it, peeling off like the whip orange. Seen they effort this piss boy.
What's up,
I got
everybody?
too much.
Welcome back to another episode of Another Turnover, the basketball podcast where a basketball fan with zero basketball credibility is his opinions on what's going on in the NBA. Opinions that nobody asked for. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Chris Aaron Murphy, aka Aaron. And ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right into it. Folks, this is going to be a very, very special edition of Another Turnover. So I wanted to do something a little different. So with Thanksgiving coming up, we got the holiday season pretty much in full swing. Thanksgiving will be, if you're listening to this on Friday, it'll be next week, next Thursday. So what I wanted to do is kind of give a little thanks. And what I mean by that is, at Thanksgiving time, everybody kind of goes around, tells what they're thankful for, all that stuff. I wanted to kind of do that. And put a little NBA twist on it, a little NBA action on it. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I want to have a Thanksgiving episode, an NBA edition. Give what I am thankful for, specifically in regards to the NBA. So let's just jump right into it. So in no particular order, I got about 7 things as I was writing out this show. I got about 7 things that I truly want to give thanks for when it comes to the NBA. And the first thing that I really, really do want to give thanks for is for my guy, Steph Curry. I mean, if we think about it, there have been many all-stars that have kind of come and gone in the NBA. There's even been, a good bit of superstars as well. But there have been very few, only arguably a handful of icons that have come in the league and kind of captivated the league as a whole and really transcended on the outside of the league too. And Steph Curry is one of those players. I am just truly thankful that I have been able to watch this guy become the player that he is. Like, I remember Steph Curry at, when he was balling out at Davidson way back, what was that? 2007-ish, 2008, somewhere around there. It was a long, long time ago. But when he was balling out in the NCAA tournament, I think took him all the way to the Sweet 16, if I can remember correctly. But this man is an icon in the NBA. He is a living legend. He has truly revolutionized the game. He's kind of, based off sheer volume of three-point shots, he's really redefined what a good shot is for him and for other players in the NBA as well. Like, pulling up from Curry range is a thing now. Like, pulling up from the logo is like not that uncommon, 10, 15 years ago or so. Like, that just wasn't a thing that happened. Like, you were definitely getting taken out of a game for pulling up way too far the way that he does. But I'm just really thankful that I've been able to kind of watch him play throughout his entire career. I've been a basketball fan for a long time, and he is just one of those special players that we've seen. I mean, I put him in the same category, not saying he's better or worse than any of these players, but he's, Michael Jordan-esque, Magic Johnson-esque, LeBron James-esque, Kobe Bryant-esque, those truly iconic players that we have seen, like I said, those handful of players. He's in that class as a revolutionary for the NBA. But I was going through some things just about Steph Curry as a whole. So he's second all-time in three-pointers made. He's second all-time, right behind the great Ray Allen. So Ray Allen made 2,973 three-point shots in about 1,300 games. Steph Curry is at 2,908 three-point field goals made in 776 games. So he's only about 65 three-point shots away from Ray Allen. And if he keeps up at the pace he's at, that record's getting broken this year. So he's going to be the all-time leader in three-pointers made. But he's achieved that in nearly half the games that Ray Allen played, which is an absurd way to think about it. I mean, like, he made 400 threes in one season. I think if he keeps up his current pace, he's on pace for to beat that record at 440 or some absurd number like that. Like, they showed a statistic in one of the games that I was watching. I think it was the Warriors. It was either the Warriors-Bulls game from the other day or whatever it was, or Warriors-Nets game from the other day. He's made 9 3-pointers in more games than like the remaining like 5 players below who have made 9 games combined. He's got like 37 or 38 games where he's made 9 or more 3-point shots. Like the next 4 or 5 players have combined for less. So he's easily the greatest shooter of all time. I mean, that's like goes without saying, but Stephen Curry, definitely a top 10 player of all time, I would say. Maybe top 12 or whatever. He's around there. He's in that class as one of the all-time greats. So I am thankful for Steph Curry. But second thing that I wanted to list out, second thing that I'm thankful for, and this is going to be a surprise for the people that know me in real life, but I'm thankful for the Los Angeles Lakers. There's truly, truly no team that I love to hate or, bag on more than the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Houston Rockets are a close second, but, it's definitely, I'm a certified Laker hater as long as I've been, obviously a San Antonio Spurs fan. I am definitely one of those people, but I hate to admit it. I will try to remain as objective as possible. I'm happy that the Lakers are good. It's fun when the Lakers are good. It's fun when the Lakers are competing. They have a bunch of talent. The league is better off when certain franchises are good. I've kind of talked about this in previous shows. But the league is better off when there are certain teams who are good. And the Los Angeles Lakers are one of those teams. So it's fun when they're contending, when they're competing for a championship. When they're in the conversation like, oh, yeah, no, the Lakers are going to take it. Lakers are going to take it. I mean, I forgot kind of how fun that was, with the Shaq and Kobe teams from in the early 2000s. And then you had, the Kobe and Powell teams that were, amazing in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like, I forgot how fun it was to kind of, debate with Lakers fans and talk about, whether the Lakers were better than this team or better than that team. So it's kind of fun. Like I said, the league is better off when the Lakers are good. But, this year, this iteration of the Lakers team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, they are a favorite in the West. On paper, they are a favorite in the West. Now, they're struggling a little bit right now. I think they're 8-7 or 8-8 right now. But it'll just be fun to watch them lose. And I will be sitting right there waiting for that to happen. So, Los Angeles Lakers, I am thankful for you. But third thing that I want to highlight, that I want to give thanks for this NBA Thanksgiving edition of Another Turnover, I want to give a shout out and say thanks to Inside the NBA, the basketball show on TNT. Kenny, Shaq, Ernie, and Chuck, this is one of my favorite shows, not just in sports, but in general as a whole. I'm sad they're not going to be on Thursday nights until the new year. It's definitely kind of a bummer, especially because it's just because of the NFL, which NFL football is not that great on Thursday night, but that's the story for another day. But really no sports show does it better. In terms of chemistry, in terms of banter and wittiness, like this show is unmatched. Like though all those 4 guys like have such amazing chemistry together, like it'll truly, truly be a sad day, not just in basketball, but in sports, when one of those guys decides to leave or retire or something along those lines. But they have it all. Inside the NBA has your laughs. Inside the NBA has your antics. It has your emotions, has your heartfelt moments. It has the fights between, Chuck and Shaq talking about, they gonna move furniture and all this stuff, and Shaq gonna throw stuff at Chuck, and them getting upset, legitimately upset. It's so much fun to watch. So I am definitely thankful for Inside the NBA. This is one of my favorite shows, not just in sports, but on TV as a whole. So Inside the NBA, thank you to all of you guys, Shaq, Ernie, Chuck, and Kenny. Y'all are amazing. But the fourth thing that I want to give thanks for this special Thanksgiving episode, I want to give thanks to NBA Twitter. And I know it's a little unconventional, but stay with me for a second. So this really is all about the memes. Like the NBA has produced some of the greatest and funniest memes that we have ever seen. Like this is just, as I was going through this is just to name a few. Like, first of all, Stephen A. Smith probably has a meme class of his own. Like, all the things that he says, like all the faces that he's made, like the one where he's just kind of like standing there looking unamused, where he's just like, like he's got, all the times where he's talking about the Knicks, like you talking about he's disgusted, all this stuff. Like Stephen A is in a class of his own. So like he is, he has one of the greatest catalog of NBA memes. But you have LeBron pointing at J.R. Smith, for his snafu, or however you want to put it, in the finals, in the 2018 finals, if I'm not mistaken. J.R. Smith thought they were ahead and started dribbling out the ball. LeBron is telling him, like how many times have we seen that LeBron James meme where he's like, doing that pointing or whatever to J.R. Smith? So that's one of the greatest memes of all time. You have Jimmy Butler throwing the paper behind him, like one of the, trainers or people on the bench hands him a piece of paper and he, kind of crumbles it up and throws it behind his head. Hilarious. I've seen that meme all over the place, in years past. And then how can we forget arguably the greatest NBA meme of all time, the crying Jordan meme. The crying Jordan meme where Michael Jordan was crying at his Hall of Fame speech. How many times have we seen that meme taken not just for basketball? I've literally seen Michael Jordan's face crying on about 100 different things and probably 100 different situations. Like, it is hilarious. It never gets old. Every time I see it, it never fails to get a laugh or a chuckle out of me. So NBA Twitter, gotta give shout out and thanks to NBA Twitter, because the NBA memes are some of the best memes that I have ever seen. But the fifth thing that I want to point out, transition a little bit, fifth thing that I want to give thanks to for this NBA Thanksgiving episode is Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. So these are honestly just two of my favorite players to watch. They both happen to be, I think Luka is from Slovenia. Are they both from Slovenia? Anyway, they're from one of them countries that I can't necessarily pronounce. But Luka and Nikola Jokic, like two really fun players to watch. They are both incredibly skilled and incredibly versatile. And both of them are, kind of take no mess, no nonsense guys. Like they are, some of the European players kind of have somewhat of a stigma, at least some of them, not all, like, they're soft and, like they ain't about that life and all that stuff. But that is definitely not Jokic, and that is definitely not Doncic. They came in with chips on their shoulder and like ready to play. And I mean, these are both dudes that have been playing against grown men for God knows how long, probably since they were real little kids. So I mean, they're always used to playing against, tougher, bigger, stronger, faster talent. But they're just so fun to watch. Nikola Jokic is arguably a top 3 passer in the game right now at 7 foot tall. Like, I have never, ever seen a big man run the floor the way that he does. Like, his passing ability is incredible. And Luka Doncic is just as extremely crafty as a player, as a ball handler, as a scorer. I was talking to my grandfather the other day, and I was just like, he was like, who's that? He's like, who's that one dude, that one kid from the Dallas Mavericks? I was talking about Luka Doncic. He was like, yeah. He was like, how does he move so slow? He's like, I think he's slower than he was last year, and he still gets to the basket, and they still can't stop him. So we were talking about it, and just like, he is incredibly crafty, but deceptively strong. I don't think people give Luka enough credit for his upper body strength, the way that he is able to get to the basket and not necessarily having to beat you off the dribble, but basically use your reactions against you and get to the basket. So Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, I want to give thanks to them. They are two of my favorite players to watch, and I really, really can't wait to see where their young careers will head over the next coming years. But the sixth thing that I want to give thanks to, I want to give thanks to a team that is sort of proving me right so far. I know we're still early in the NBA season, but sort of proving me right. And that is the Phoenix Suns. So the Phoenix Suns, they started off, they were struggling a little bit. I think they started off 1-3, but they have now won 10 games in a row. And thankfully, I was wrong in the sense that, they have not let the situation with their owner, Robert Sarver, and the allegations that have come out against him affect them negatively at all, which is really, really amazing to see how they've been able to kind of compartmentalize and keep moving forward with what's going on in their organization. But they are balling out. They are really moving the ball well. They have pretty solid defense as well as offense as well. You know, you got the point guard, you got Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges has taken a step up. Landry Shamet is on the team this year. He's a pretty solid role player for them. But they are playing really well. Devin Booker, I mean, we know bucket getter, certified bucket getter, Mamba mentality, all that good stuff. He's just a scoring machine. I mean, he can do it all. 3-point shots, mid-range, get to the basket. Like, I love Devin Booker's game. I love the way he approaches like his scoring. It's pretty fun to watch. So now I picked him. Like I said, that was my way too early season NBA Finals pick in terms of getting to the finals. And it's looking good so far. So they are playing really well. They are second only to the Golden State Warriors, who are having a tremendous season so far. But shout out and thanks are due for the Phoenix Suns. Thank you for making me appear like I know more basketball than I actually do. But the seventh and final thing that I wanted to give thanks for, I wanted to give thanks to the greatest NBA coach of all time. And I was just having this conversation earlier today with a coworker. I will die on this hill. Gregg Popovich is the greatest NBA coach that we have seen of all time. Let me rephrase that. Gregg Popovich is the greatest NBA coach of all time. I want to give this man his flowers because there's no telling how much time he has coaching left. I mean, arguably, I thought he was going to retire like 3 or 4 years ago, but he's still here, still coaching, still adapting, still changing to what we have going on in today's NBA. And the young players that we have currently on the San Antonio Spurs, although we're not necessarily on the same trajectory in terms of wins that we've been in the past, he is just doing a phenomenal job with this young core that we have. So I want to give this man his flowers. He is the best to ever do it. 5-time NBA champion, playoffs 22 years in a row. That was the most in all of major American sports, and I don't think that will ever be duplicated. I don't think that'll ever be done again in any major sport here in the United States. But he is better than Phil Jackson. I know what y'all are saying, like, oh, what about Phil Jackson? What about Phil Jackson? He's got all these rings. Like, Phil Jackson had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe, among the greatest players of all time. And don't get me wrong, Tim Duncan is a top 10 player of all time. And I will stand by that, and I will put up his accolades, his career accolades against anyone else's, and they will match up for top 10. He's the greatest power forward of all time. So we had him, but Gregg Popovich showed that he was adaptable. He showed that he could put in different pieces. You know, he had the big three for quite some time, for 4 of those 5 championships. But Gregg Popovich was able to implement systems and change and adapt over time, even against his will, because Gregg Popovich has said on numerous occasions he hates the 3-point shot, but he adapted and got players that fit within the system and changed. Gregg Popovich never had, up until recently, you know, our recent struggles, never had a losing season. Like, was always consistent with what the Spurs way was. So, I mean, they doubted this man. They doubted this man in the Olympics, like, over this past summer. You know, when they lost those exhibition games, when they lost to Nigeria, and I think they had lost to France, even in the preliminary game in the Olympics, we were like, oh man, like, you know, Gregg Popovich can't coach in the Olympics. Gregg Popovich, you know, like, he ain't ready for the Olympic level. Like, you just can't do it. Like, well, they won it. So now what? They won it. I mean, they didn't give this man his respect, and I'm doing it on this show. Gregg Popovich, you, sir, are the greatest coach of all time in the NBA, and there is not a person that can convince me otherwise, because I'm being completely objective. But those are 7 things that I have that I wanted to give thanks for this NBA season. So for this special Thanksgiving episode of Another Turnover, I want to briefly highlight the marquee matchups that I got coming up for the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday games that I think are going to be the most fun to watch, and my picks for all 3 of those games. So for Friday's game, so if you're listening to this obviously Friday morning, for later on today, we've got the Lakers and Celtics playing. That's going to be on ESPN. It's a national TV game. Of course, got to be a national TV game. That's the Lakers-Celtics, one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. So this game is in Boston. I think LeBron James is going to be back for this game. I am going to go ahead and take Boston in this game. Both teams have kind of struggled out the gate and not really played up to expectations. You had some injuries on both teams. Jaylen Brown injuries on the Celtics. LeBron's been out for the last 7 or 8 games or however long it's been. But I'm going to go with the Celtics at home in a close one in this one. Saturday's game, a game that I think is going to be really good. You've got the Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards in D.C. The Wizards are surprising everyone and, winning on a consistent pace. They are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Miami they came out kind of hot. They've cooled off just a little bit, but I think I'm going to pick them on the road to beat Washington in this game. I think they just match up a little bit better with what they got going on. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, all that good stuff. I think they're going to end up winning this game on the road. And then Sunday's game, we got a rematch from last year's Western Conference semifinals. You have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Phoenix Suns. I think this should be a pretty good one. I think this will also be a close one as well. There's no love lost between these teams. Every time I think about Nuggets Suns, I think about that Suns in 4 guy that, was, fighting back against that fan and, that Denver Nuggets fan. He was wearing the Phoenix Suns jersey. He's like, Suns in 4. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Phoenix Suns to win this game in Phoenix. That'll be a home game for them. So I'm going to take them to win that game. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I've got Celtics over Lakers. I've got Miami over the Wizards, and I've got Phoenix over Denver. So that is what I've got for marquee matchups. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all the show I have for you today for this fine Friday. I won't be doing any shows for the week of Thanksgiving, so no Tuesday or no Friday show for next week. Going to spend some time with the fam and as much time as I can. But I will see you the Tuesday following the week of Thanksgiving. So I hope all of you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you eat as much as you want and don't feel bad or regret it afterwards. But I can't wait to see you on that Tuesday afterwards. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you when I see you. Take care.
Yeah, I told him I'ma hit it out the stands. I deserve another 100 bands. I deserve another 100 fans. Told them this was always in the plans. I just did it cause they said I can. Blowing euros when I'm down in France. Labels asking how I build a brand. Told them put a check up in my hands. Still got time, no cap. Made a few checks, but they all in the raps. Had a few friends, but they suck in the past. I don't even trip.